Hello, Theater Horizon and Theater Horizon fans. My name is Robi Hager, and I am an actor, singer, and composer here in Philadelphia. A little bit about me. I am originally from Mexico City. I moved to New York, the Westchester area, in the year 2000, and did high school there, and did a little bit of college, and then I really focused on my acting and singing career. And I booked my first Broadway show in 2006, and that was Spring Awakening. And from then on, I stayed in the city, did coachings, and learned so much about my voice, my dance skills, my acting skills, and kind of did my own college that way, and continued working in New York for a long time. I think it was in 2012, when I did my first show in Philadelphia, and that was Next to Normal over at the Arden Theater. And that was my first time in Philly, and I remember vividly the first week of rehearsals. It was an amazing cast to work with too, a lot of Philadelphians, and I knew I was going to come to Philly at some point in my life and live here and work here, and that happened. After that, I officially moved in 2000, the winter of 2018. Yes. And have been here ever since with my partner, Chris Haig, and it's been a joy to be here. So that's a little bit of who I am for all you fans out there, Theater Horizon fans. So what this video is going to be about is about how I compose music, what my process is in creating music, creating melodies, how to write it down on sheet music, and which programs I use, and how I orchestrate it to make demos that sound like full orchestras or a full band or all that stuff. So I'm going to piece this video together in like about 3 or 4 sections. But this first little section, I want to show you how I work with the piano. What's my first step when I want to write a piece of music. So usually the first thing I do in the mornings is I get my coffee. I tell Chris goodbye, and then he says goodbye, Robi. And I come and sit at the piano, and first when I see the piano, I see kind of like a blank canvas with like an artist would see, but I see colors. So there's different chords that I relate colors to. On top of that, it looks like a library to me in terms of storytelling, right? So, for example, if I want to have some sort of fantasy, whimsical, fairy tale-like music thing, I would look towards the upper range. So it sounds like, which we've all heard in Disney stuff, right? And similar with other storytelling throughout the whole range of the piano. But what I'm going to try showing you how I do storytelling by using colors, the visual of the colors, and putting them to chords. So for me, I'll start with my favorite chord. My favorite chord is the A major or A minor chord. This is the A major chord. And this is the A minor chord. So that color to me is on the pink side. It's got a pink, warm pink color. And so I'm going to try to paint for you a sunrise, right? So the sunrise kind of it starts with pink color, then it grows into a yellowish orange color. So to me, the color yellow is the F major chord, or F minor chord. The red color to me is a D minor chord, or D major, right? Once we start, the sun comes up and starts shining some of its light, we see a little bit of green, right, on the earth. So green to me is the E minor or E major chord. Here's the E minor one. Here's the E major chord. And eventually the sky clears up and we see blue, and for me the color blue is a C chord. C major or C minor. Right? So I'm just going to improv a little bit and see if you see a sunrise, if you can see what I'm trying to do with these chords and the colors that I have attached to these chords. So here you go. First, a little coffee. Okay. So I ended in the C major chord there with the blue sky. So I don't know if you saw that, if you saw something completely different, but that's kind of how I attempt storytelling through music. I look at colors and I look at a situation that has that kind of color in it, or other composers use letters, use words, use numbers. So there's many different ways of how to compose music and what works for you. And this is the one that's been the most useful for me. So now, in this next section of this video, I'm going to show you how I came up with a song for a musical I'm writing. So here's a melody that I came up with, and it's from this new musical I'm writing. It's a Mexican musical, and it's called A Donde Duende, which means where are you going, elf? So what I needed with this song was an uplifting, a sort of up-tempo song to convey this message of come with me, I will help you on this journey, without giving too much of what the story really is at the moment, but I'm still writing it. But for this specific section, I needed something uplifting. So I just kept on playing with a couple of things, and I came up with something like this. That's basically a simple melody that I just did for now. So what I did is I listened to where the melody wanted to go in order to put the chord progression behind it. So what I mean by chord progression, I mean this is a G major chord. Here is a C major chord, right? So I wanted to figure out what can support this melody. So this melody is in the key of G, so I'll start with G, right? Then I feel like I want to change something here, right? Instead of staying in the same chord, instead of doing this, I want to add a new level to it. So what I would do is change it to a chord that still fits the key signature. So I would go, in this case, to relative minor, is what it would be called in music theory, which goes to an E minor. So that's a G major. Then we get to E minor. And then I continue following, where does it want to go, this melody? So we have this. And we go to a C. Sorry, I made a little mistake. I've got a C major, right? So we want to go G minor, and then I take it up one step to the D. It takes us back to G. So my chord progressions for this song are G, E minor, C, D, right? I mean, I'm playing a different note, but that note is in the chord. So that's what I've got. And then the way I orchestrated, then I will put this into music, is what goes underneath this melody is. Ba-da-da-ba-ba, right, ba-da-ba-ba, ba-da-da-ba-ba, ba-da-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba, right, and then I can go with that. So that's kind of what I came up with this. So, of course, it continues. The song is much longer than this, and when we put it into music, what I would put in the sheet music for actors or singers to look at, I would put a piano score underneath, and then the vocal line with their notes. So let's work on that.
So now this is what I've got. So I have a program called Finale, which is where I notate all of my sheet music. Anytime I have any music that I have to write down, whether it's for me to keep and have a record of, or when I wrote my musical Basic Witches, I wrote all this music down to give to actors so they could learn the music and see what the notes were, quite literally. So I have a blank, basically blank virtual paper, if you will, of this song called Adonde Duende, and it's blank. So I have right here, I have the piano part, which is these two staves right here, and then the voice part up here, right? So what I'm going to do right now is notate the voice part, and I'm also going to notate the piano part just before, just so you have an idea of how that happens. And let me do that first, the piano part, and then I'll add the voice part, and you'll have a visual idea of what I was playing downstairs in the piano. So now here, I already have the piano written all out, and now I'm putting in the notes that the singers will be looking at in the top staff. And this is where music theory kind of comes in a little handy, because you want to know how long they need to hold these notes, how long they need to hold these melodies. And you want to make it as easy as possible for your singers to read. If you have a lot of 16th rests or a lot of dotted 16th notes and that stuff, it gets a little harder or complicated. Like immediately the brain for a singer or people who read music will be like, oh, this is going to be a little intense. So now here we have our final product. We have the piano written out and the vocal line written out. All we need now are the lyrics. So this is what I would present to a singer.
After the sheet music is done and I have an idea, a clear idea of where the music wants to go, where the song wants to go, and the time signature, which means how many beats to a bar, the tempo, which means how slow or how fast, and key signature, which means which key are we in, what notes we're going to be singing within which scale. So once I have all that set and I have the sheet music done, what I do, I either there's a way I can extract a sort of audio or MIDI file from the piano that I wrote into the sheet music into this, or what I do is usually I just have that as a guide next to me, and I just start like, what instruments do I hear in this? That's the next step for me when I orchestrate it. And I use this program called Logic Pro, which is similar to GarageBand but a little bit upgraded if you have a Mac computer. So I start thinking of what do I hear in this, this show, Little Duende, that I'm writing is a Mexican musical, so I use a lot of mariachi, marimba sounds, and that kind of style of music for this. So the way I've mostly orchestrated the show, we have strings. I love strings, so I think like the more strings the better. I have a acoustic guitar. We have trumpets, of course. We have usually harp is another big instrument in Mexican music. The marimba, and it's almost like the bass guitar in the mariachi band called the guitarrón. So the Mexican guitarrón. That gives us our bass notes. I also sometimes in a dream world with this musical, we have a full orchestra, right? As I'm sure many composers want. So in this song I orchestrated, I have these strings called cinema strings, which I love. Anything soundtrack or movie scores, that's where I get a lot of my inspiration from. And so I use those strings for this. So here's what I did when in the beginning of the song. So you'll recognize what we did earlier when we put it in when we put that in sheet music. You'll recognize this. You'll recognize this section. So this is that intro that we had. Here we go. This is what it sounds like. Right? This is what I wrote in the piano part. So I put that in the guitar section, right? Which as it continues, I'll split it into different instruments, right? So what I also did to that, I added a little bit of instruments and I added a little bit of strings to that. So in the beginning, and I give the melody to the strings in this section, as well as the marimba. The marimba is doing in the background some like a few chords here and there on the offbeats. So here's what it sounds like with all that in. You get a little bit pizzicato on the strings. And then I add some trumpets. So then that's kind of sets up the introduction of what the song is going to be. At least musically, it does, to me, it gives a sort of positive outlook, this chord progression and using that instrumentation for this. Now I have the song fully orchestrated, and this is what we call a demo, and what I would send out to investors or producers or people that I would like to listen to what I have going on, what my show is about, what it sounds like. What you're going to hear, though, is a demo that's just the orchestral version without the vocal line or without the lyrics. So this is A Donde Duende from my new musical Little Duende. Sit back and enjoy. And for letting me tell you about my process when I write music. Check back on Theater Horizon's YouTube account. They're going to be posting a lot more videos of a lot of their artists and what they do. Thanks again, Theater Horizon, for asking me to do this. And stay safe, and also do check in for other local composers. There's so many amazing composers here in Philadelphia who need your ears and your feedback. So please look up all these amazing composers in the area and keep on listening to music.